Hey all, it's Nim or Nimicry if you're feeling professional, and welcome to the YouTube video. Now today we're going to be talking about World of Warcraft, patch 9.2, a developer preview for Eternity's End. Now, here's the thing. I don't normally do World of Warcraft content anymore. As you guys know, I stepped away from the game, not having fun with it. But I saw this, I figured we could do a little live reaction, see what happens, and I'll try to give you my takes, and hopefully the team can turn it around. I don't know if they'll be able to do it with this particular development team, but I have faith in the individual devs, and I'm sure that the individual devs want the game to be good. I'm not so cynical as to think that they want the game to be bad. But before we get started, if you like what I do, or if you like what the channel does in general, go on and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything the channel does. I tend to produce a lot of MMORPG content, and this video is no different. Additionally, on screen right now, you should see a list of patrons. Those patrons are wonderful people who support a small creator like myself. If you'd like to join them, you can at patreon.com/Nimicry. We're trying to put video previews up there and other things as well. But without further ado, let's move on to Eternity's End. All right, World of Warcraft, it's been a while since I've seen what you've been working on. I hope you wow me with these new developments. Let's see.
Shadowlands story pulls together threads that started in Warcraft 3 and wove their way through many of our expansions. We approached it like a drama in 3 acts. Now, as the third and
I'm a little skeptical that there was that much planning in the story. I'm just gonna be honest. As I read some of the books for the WoW stuff, and okay, you know what though? I'm not trying to be cynical. That's not the goal. The goal is not to be cynical. The goal is to be, let's look at it and give it a thing. But I gotta be honest with you. As far as narrative cohesion goes, I don't have the highest hopes.
Final act begins of the saga. We need to stop the jailer from reaching his ultimate goal, which is to rewrite the rules of reality. Eternity's End serves as the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga. The jailer has the advantage. He has seized the sigils of the leaders of the 4 covenants.
We see Sylvanas realize that she's been a pawn in the jailer's game this entire time.
No. Not Sylvanas. Not the vengeful, nihilistic queen of the undead who has been told that she was a pawn in the jailer's scheme. Not Sylvanas. I mean, sure. And Mythic Plus loot drops are not player friendly. So, I mean, yeah, okay, fine. I understand that's a pretty obvious story point. I like the cinematic and I like the artwork, and I do like the character of Sylvanas. I prefer it when she's more nihilistic, especially when she lost meaning right after beating the Lich King, because she threw herself off the top of Icecrown. But we're not gonna get into lore there. We're gonna see what happens here.
And she refuses to serve him, and she's taken prisoner.
The jailer is able to open a portal to who knows where, taking Anduin with him.
And the Primus had us take some time to retrieve some new sigils.
Now we have gathered our forces. We are working with the Primus to open our own gateway to pursue the jailer to this realm unlike any we've seen before.
Cool name. It's a cool name. Zereth Mortis.
The Primus opens a portal, and we come into this alien land. It's completely white, foggy. We're walking on water for some reason.
They can only make out some shapes, some figures there, some crazy devices and consoles.
Eventually, you make your way to a giant gate, and behind it lies Zereth Mortis.
I mean, I'm digging the whole kind of primordial creation thing. You know what that reminds me of? Honestly, if I were to throw some out, is the anybody here, you know, let me know if you in the comments below, of course, if you played Darksiders 2. When you go to that first area with the giants, that as death, a lot of this architecture and design reminds me of the Darksiders 2. I will say I like the geometric people now as opposed to the candle people. I'm sure the candle people will still be around, the brokers. I like them, but let's see.
Zereth Mortis was created by the first ones, and it is intended to create afterlives.
All right.
Think of it as being tucked away in the fabric of the Shadowlands itself. It's kind of the behind the scenes of these afterlives that we've journeyed to.
So it's the mechanics that cause the Shadowlands to function. Okay, not bad.
It's the land where the progenitors, the first ones who created all of the realms of the Shadowlands, this is their workshop.
They've created everything we've experienced in Azeroth and Shadowlands and even realms we haven't discovered yet.
These first ones built the universe, as far as we know, but...
All right, so here's the thing. I understand that they are leaving the door open to having different interpretations, but I remember when the Titans created the universe. I remember when Sargeras and all the things happened. So a lot of retcons happen, and that's fine. 17 years of a game plus the franchise beforehand. I understand. There can be a lot of things that happen. But I really want to see some... They say this works from threads starting back in the original Warcraft franchise all the way up through now. And the answer is... I mean, yeah, I guess if you don't count all the changes that have happened. And again, retcons aren't bad. Sometimes retroactive corrections, or retcon, are important. But it's gotta... You can't just be like, all right, new author, let's go. Pack it in, let's do something else. Anyways, I know these people aren't the writers, but it is one of those things that it's gotta be addressed.
But their intentions or methods are completely unknown.
But of course, the jailer's presence here is disrupting this process. And we're working to push back against the jailer's forces and protect this place.
I think the artists have done a fantastic job, and I know they did a lot of research.
I would agree. I would agree. The art team, look at me right in my face. The art team always knocks it out of the park. I have never been unimpressed with anything the Blizzard art team has put out. They do wonderful set pieces, they do wonderful raids, they do wonderful towns, they do wonderful monsters, they do wonderful... Some of the abilities look great. I always love the art team.
Research, and they looked at a lot of real-life examples of very strange places in the real world.
As a team, we were really trying to make this place as alien as possible, so we really wanted to make everything feel completely unique and completely different.
And I think they knocked that out of the park. Seeing these floating orbs and such, it's not fiery like Argus. It's not crystally like the Exodar and the Draenei. It's not standard, for lack of a better word, Earth physics like Azeroth. I think they did a good job with that. And again, kudos to the art team. The art team should get an absolute raise every time an expansion comes out because they just step up to the plate and crack that ball right out of the park.
Our trees here are floating. We have stones that are floating. We even have the massive Forge of Afterlives that is floating in the center of the zone.
Looks cool.
True to its name, it's something that is kind of putting together a new afterlife to be sent out into the Shadowlands.
We have this water all around you because water is really the catalyst for any kind of creation.
It's actually unlike any other water that we've seen before. This is actually water that we can walk on. It almost...
We could walk on water with water walking mounts. Literally, there are shoes that you can do. You could do that. Originally, it tried to be removed because people thought it was too powerful. I remember they were going to Legion, they were going to remove water walking from the Broken Shore because you could get around too conveniently, even though you took the time to grind out a water walking mount. That was the whole point. But eventually, they walked that back and everything. I have to push back on that particular thing because water walking has absolutely been in the game. Look, there are spells that give you water walking. Look, buddy I played with for years was Death Knight, Path of Frost. He used to troll us when we were jumping off in raids into water, but it's an ability. It's not unlike anything you've ever seen before. It is a really cool zone, but water walking in of itself is not new. And if everybody can walk on the water, then it's just treated as a retextured ground. Again, nitpicky a little bit, but you gotta understand, WoW's in kind of a low point, and you gotta wow us, so to speak, to bring people back. I want this game to be good because I've got years invested in it. And for the first time in a long time, I'm not subscribed during the anniversary event.
Creates like a threshold between Sereth Mortis and some other kind of more primordial space right below it. Everything you see in Sereth Mortis has a purpose, an intention behind it. For us, it was really important to find ways to convey that intention in the environment itself. And one of the ways in which we did it was through this duality between a lush and a dry biome. In the dry biome, we see perhaps what the original look of the zone was when the progenitors were first establishing this workspace for themselves. And in the lush biome, we see the result of their experimentation with plant life and fauna and things like that.
Something I want to ask, is it the first ones or is it the progenitors? Because technically both terms could apply. Are they terms of art? Are they terms of classification? Is it just different stories from different people in the different biomes, because again, they said the lush and the dry biome. It's just, again, narrative cohesion. They have a name. We know that in the game, Eridar means something. Draenei means something. Orcs means something. Humans, dwarves, elves means something. Two-handed sword means something. Retribution Paladin means something. Usually you laugh at them and say, aha, you got nerfed again. But they mean something.
These are all test beds for what we'll eventually see elsewhere.
Creatures. Okay, let's see what we got here.
From there, we started thinking about what kinds of creatures would be in this place.
They look cool.
Fundamentally, prototypes.
Those look really, really cool.
There's terraforming here. There's creatures that are building afterlives. We tried to really stretch and think what that might be like.
I am absolutely adoring these creatures. The fact that they have all the prototypes and they're really trying to kind of almost deconstruct a lot of things. Yeah, absolutely. Art team does design team there. Hey, good job. Good job on that. Absolutely.
My personal favorite includes the giant armored snail, and we also have a progenitor chicken.
All right. The snail and the chicken. Yeah. Bravo, team. Bravo.
Which answers the question of what came first.
These first ones who crafted Zereth Mortis, what they left behind were the Automa, meant to take care of the place and make sure that it fulfilled its function to create afterlives.
The Automa have several different classes, and you can see this in their silhouettes. We have the Builders.
I mean, I like the Automa. I think that's a really cool design. I think that's an upgrade to the Candle people design, the Broker. I know the Brokers they were a very interesting race in the Shadowlands, but I like the Automa. I think they look really cool.
We have the Protectors. We have the Casters, and each one of them have a specific role within the Shadowlands. And then you'll also discover the Jiro, which are a part of the Automa. They're a little more quirky, they have a little more personality, they are a little more sentient than the other Automa, so some of them even split off to pursue their own desires.
Unfortunately, when we found our way in, Devourers also found their way in. They are ravenous.
They're consuming this weird energy, and it's causing them to mutate and to fall apart.
And the Automa, where they are confronted by them, some of them are fighting them off.
And
So
it's going to take some time for them.
So it's interesting that because we entered, the Devourers came in. The Devourers didn't come with the Jailer. Now, maybe that's a misspeak, of course, because the Jailer is just trying to get in there and rewrite the rules of reality to suit his needs for whatever needs they are at this point. I don't know exactly what they are, and I don't think anyone knows the exact motivations of the Jailer. But he wants to get in there, so they came in specifically with the player. That's what we're taking from that. And, okay, fine.
Them to understand that we're here trying to help them drive out this threat.
The Enlightened. All right.
Fortunately, we've got some allies. There are some enlightened brokers here that we're going to be working with.
But it's a broker that arrived here quite a long time ago and has had a change of heart from looking at the world as a very transactional place to seeing this place as a holy place, a sacred place.
I like the Brokers. I like that they gave the Brokers at least a sub-faction of some type of character development beyond being Shadowlands goblins, essentially. Where they're like, everything has a price, and you have a price, and I need the artifact. And by the way, thank you for doing the weekly quest. Here's, some anima. Enjoy the anima. Even though it's apparently on a drought, and this is exceedingly valuable, here, have this anima.
We meet an enlightened one named Fareem, and Fareem needs our assistance, and in return he leads us to Haven,
which is a hub that has been created out of
Oh, that dancing little bear cub. Yes. I love you, dancing bear cub. And that's the same dance that the Dark Moon dancing bear does. So I'm glad with that.
Progenitor ruins, and this is where the Enlightened really have made their home.
Haven serves as our foothold here, as well as use it as a base of operations and really start unlocking the mysteries of this land.
All right.
The enlightened brokers are intent on protecting and preserving the work of the first ones here, but now they're seeing Zoval bring his forces against the Automa and tear up the land, and they are eager for assistance.
The brokers themselves are very ostentatious, they're very into materialism, but the Enlightened are not that at all. They have
I feel like their head shapes have changed too. based on the brokers in Oribos. But still, fine. They said they arrived a long time ago, so things change. People, beings evolve. Plus, this is essentially the building blocks, the Lego kit of the afterlife, so it makes sense that things would change.
Relinquish this material way, and you'll see this reflected in their clothes. They're a little tattered, they're a little faded, because it just isn't important to them anymore. They're just here for the pursuit of knowledge.
All right. Cipher of the first one.
When players arrive, they're kind of fishes out of water. And one of the first things that we have to do is start learning how to communicate with the automa. Think of it as a kind of runic language, based in symbols.
We will bond with a small construct who's pretty cute, actually. And with his assistance and the assistance of Fareem, we will learn.
I agree. that small construct is rather cute. And Fareem, thank you for helping us.
Eventually, how to understand the symbols through the cipher of the first ones.
We'll uncover different parts of this alphabet and start to learn more about the progenitors and Zereth Mortis itself.
It will allow you to unlock new and different forms of content. So that can range from daily quests to new options on the vendors to places to explore and new side quests that open up. So it's really the gateway to exploring the far reaches of Zereth Mortis.
So the thing that I'm interested, I like the idea of, okay, we are a group of people that have entered a place in order to protect it, but we know nothing about it. We know that Zoval is bad, and we gotta stop Zoval. Zoval is no good, and we gotta stop him and slap him around and be like, give Anduin back, and all those things. We know that we can't communicate with the Automa, the realm's basically native population, and the Enlightened Brokers help us to some degree. Okay, great. How we communicate with the Automa is through the cipher of the first one. All right, I'm tracking. Here's where it could fall apart. Player A wants to learn all they can about the cipher of the first ones and the lore and the story and unlock as much as possible. Player B just has 2 hours of time on a Tuesday to complete the story every week. They are going to be locked to the same progression. That is the problem. So, provided that they don't lock progression, that's going to be a really cool thing, because then, like a scholar, generally, as you gain knowledge, you're like, oh, I want more, and I want more, and I want more, and I want to explore. And as long as you're just hands-off, like, well, the content will be done in a day. Yeah, those that want to do the content in a day will be done in a day. But right now, probably should be as hands-off with player restrictions as possible, because again, World of Warcraft is not exactly in a great place subscription numbers wise or public perception wise. So let's, maybe hands off and let the players exist in your sandbox and learn things.
As we looked into the development of Cypher of the first ones, we wanted something that was unique that players haven't seen before. A little bit of familiarity, but something that takes that to the next level.
We really involved the whole team in this creative process. We worked with our UI team to be able to represent those through text, through these things talking and seeing them on screen in chat bubbles and in our chat window. Little by little, these kind of runes start taking shape into words that we recognize. But it's going to be a process that unfolds over the course of playing through Eternity's End.
I think that's a cool thing. I just don't severely time gate it. Don't severely time gate it, and we're gonna be okay.
The Automa speak in this kind of musical language. They don't talk the way that we mortals are used to speaking. The sound team was super excited. They jumped in, they started prototyping all kinds of different sounds. We listened.
I really like the musical language. That makes sense. The only thing I would make that would make it even better is a mathematical language. Sound is universal, and the only thing that gives what I'm saying right now meaning is because I understand what it means, and the person listening would understand what it means. Otherwise, it's just a series of sounds. So actually learning the language, not knowing the language, it would sound like either random noises or potentially music. And that's a really wonderful development idea. Bravo to the team for that. I absolutely have to say that bravo.
We gave feedback, and we really ended up in a cool place. As you're playing through and gradually unlocking the language, you'll be able to see those words that they're saying, but still hear those tones.
Okay, good. Sepulcher of the first one. Interesting.
The jailer's true goal has never really been to escape the maw or to gain power. He's been focused on reaching this place called the Sepulcher, to go into this place of power and to really rewrite the rules of the universe. We'll learn that the jailer has breached the Sepulcher of the First Ones, and this becomes our new raid for Eternity's End. We're going to gather our forces, we're going to pursue the jailer inside. Once you go inside the Sepulcher, there's some mind-blowing visuals.
So, I guess, and maybe they'll explain through the course of the story what the jailer's actual motivation to rewriting the rules of the universe are. Because nobody's like, oh man, I gotta grab all this power just to have it. It's gonna be executed. Because, well, it's just not good storytelling, to be honest. Be like, I have the ability to do something. Great. Next expansion. You're like, hey, big plot thread there that was just left on the ground. So I assume they'll let us know. It's just, it seems like Zoval's motives. I remember back when Shadowlands launched, and I played in the beta. I played through a couple times in the beta, and I leveled a couple of characters through live, all the way through Nathria. And, we got Heroic Sire and some Mythic Shriekwing down. Before I got tired of playing, I was playing a Retribution Paladin, and so that earlier joke was a reflection of my pain. But I didn't really know what Zoval's... I wasn't attached to Zoval. I wasn't attached to his ideas like, oh, I'm just evil. Generic, mustache-twirling evil.
This is a place that should not be able to exist according to the laws of physics as we know them on Azeroth. Just looking out into this impossible sky, of seeing these ancient works of the First Ones, those laws don't apply to anything we see here.
Among the bosses that we're going to face in Sepulcher of the First Ones include the jailer's forces, maybe a dreadlord or two that you haven't tied up loose ends with. We'll face a consular. This is similar to a being like Algalon, but the jailer's gotten to it and
Interesting.
used his domination magic into the consular. Before we get to the jailer, however, we need to get to Anduin first. Our hope is that we can learn whatever Anduin knows about domination magic. We need to be able to resist it, or better yet, fight it.
Tier sets! Now there we go. Like tier sets.
We know players have been waiting a long time for the return of tier sets, and as devs, we have too.
It's a great blend of progenitor magic, golds, and metals, along with those class-defining silhouettes.
I gotta be honest with you, the tier sets look really great. They look fantastic. They're all a little samey, but I also like they all have kind of an alien feel to them. Fan. I like tier sets. Good job.
Wolves for shamans, pointy things for rogues. It's gonna look amazing.
Our class and combat team was super excited to bring class sets back. This is something that felt really right for the story. We're in the final act of the Shadowlands saga. We're here literally on the brink at Eternity's End. And what better place to fully unleash the power of these classes? And I think players will really enjoy the return of those class sets.
So I wanna run something back to you guys. The reason tier sets were originally removed, if you don't remember, were that they were considered boring and mandatory. Well, here's the thing about that, right? Is that who makes the tier sets? It's not the players. It's the devs. The devs have the ability to create some wonderfully cool abilities, or something as boring as your spender does 20% more damage. Okay, while the 20% more damage is great, don't get me wrong, does more damage, it's awesome. It's not interesting to play. There are a whole bunch of little random buffs and procs and things that go off that make controlling your character not really fun to play, because you could play perfectly, and if somebody gets lucky next to you, then yeah, they're going to be blowing up the meters and be more valuable and be more effective to the party and the raid and the fight and the dungeon or whatever you want to say. And yeah, it'll all come out in the wash eventually. But here's the thing. The progression kill doesn't always come out in the wash, meaning that the progression kill happens one time. That's the one time. And everybody remembers, oh, well, I got mollywopped on the progression kill, and I got to see myself go face down, while a person who normally plays worse than me somehow got a hot streak or a lucky streak of procs and just start nailing things to the wall. So I want to keep that in mind, that the only tier sets are coming back, and I like that. I like tier sets. Let's hope the bonuses are good, but remember what happened to cause them to be removed in the first place is The dev team thought they were boring because the abilities they put on the tier sets were boring, and as for being mandatory, well, it's an act of finishing your character. So, for example, if I'm Mythic rating, right, and I need the helmet and the chest and the shoulders and the whatever, I need my 4-piece, right? If I get the Mythic 4-piece of that, those slots are done. Unless I want to super optimize later and I can find another piece and figure something out. But in general, those slots are done. I've finished at least 12 out of 15 or 16 slots on my character. Or I'm sorry, not 12. 4 out of 15 or 16 slots on my character. And that makes me a happy person. Anyways, let's continue.
As much as the team enjoyed making them.
How do you make something that is mystical and magical and incomprehensible and yet understandable? I think we've done a good job of finding that line.
The team as a whole has been working so hard, and we are so excited to get this out for everyone.
We're gonna get new mounts, new pets.
A bit horrifying for me, but exciting for some is the fact that, some of the spider mounts can now fly. Who needs flying spiders? But that's also going to be a cool thing for people.
We have updates to professions, to soulbinds, to conduits. There's a new dancing minigame in Darkmoon Fair.
I'm a story guy, so I'm super geeked about watching players kind of piece together those little lore tidbits. That's what excites me as well.
I'm really looking forward to Season 3 of Mythic Plus. Tazavesh is getting split into 2 dungeons.
Yeah, we had assumed that Tazavesh would be split into 2 dungeons, the Shadowlands Mega Dungeon. I'm honestly, Mythic Plus hurts my soul to do. It's to me, it's unrewarding, and it's artificially difficult for no reason. That being said, hey, you know what? Some people really like it. There was a point where I really liked Mythic Plus. I liked it back in Legion. Thought it was a really cool system back in Legion, and it's only gone downhill from there.
If you're a raider, if you chase Keystone Master, if you're an achievement collector, there's something for everyone to do in this.
Shadowlands is like the final chapter of one book of the Warcraft saga, and our team is already hard at work on the next stories to come. Can't talk about them quite yet, but when the time is right, we're going to be really excited to share them with you.
All right, so that was the Shadowlands, Eternity's End development trailer, and my reactions to that. Now, listen, do I think that it's going to be a cool zone? Yeah, we saw the art. I praised things that I liked. I chastised things that I didn't. But you have to understand is that this is a piece of corporate advertisement for a product. They're not going to be like, oops, our bad. We screwed up on XYZ. They're just going to focus on what's good going forward. Now, do I believe the team, as they said, as the young lady said, is working hard at this game? Absolutely. I 100% believe that this team is working hard on trying to deliver a good product. I think they're going to try to make the best MMO patch that they can, especially with a lot of attention on them, especially with player numbers being down, and I hope that it comes to fruition. I don't know that I'll be back playing it at any point, but you know what? I'm not going to rule it out completely. I will say that I hope the devs don't have to crunch too hard, and I hope that the devs are paid fairly, unlike some of the executives who are exempt from various corporate rules and regulations. So that'll be something there. There was some news that came out today. I'll let you guys look into that. So here's the thing, guys. You like what what do you think? What do you think? You think you're gonna try 9.1? You excited for Eternity's End, or are you gonna be like, I'm gonna pass? Anyways, if you like what I do, or you like the channel in specific, go on and hit subscribe and hit that notification bell to stay up to date with everything the channel does. In addition, I've been told to plug this more often. I stream on Twitch every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Friday and Sunday are Final Fantasy XIV, and Saturday is a little variety thing. We've currently been playing through Tales of Arise, so that's quite a fun game. I've hit a point where there are some plot has been revealed, so I'm looking forward to finishing that game. If you'd like to talk to me in a greater length, you can in my Discord, which there is a link down below. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Nimicry, which I tend to respond back to everything that I can. And finally, for those truly above and beyond the Call of Duty, there is a Patreon. It's patreon.com/Nimicry. Those people who help a small creator grow and prosper here. So thank you to that. Without further ado, though, guys, I want to thank you for being in this video if you made it this far. I hope you enjoyed it. And while I might have been a little down on World of Warcraft, and in my opinion, rightly so, I do genuinely hope they pull it out, because I played this game for a long time. My handle online, Nimicry, comes from my paladin in WoW. So it means a lot to me, and I hope that they fix it and that it launches in a great state. Thank you for watching this far, and may the mount you're farming drop on the first kill.